So the goal from this trip is Mike and I are going to travel, see a couple of the different ranches, see the ranch where we have exclusive inventory at, check out the animals, the lodging. From everything I've seen, it looks gorgeous. The photos you have, I mean, it looks like a really, really nice setup that they have there. I'm going to get in, put my eyes on that, maybe get some additional photos and stuff for the clients to be able to check it out. And yeah, gonna hunt.
It seems like it's a great place. He's got his own personal lease and a lodge set up just down the road that he does a fishing camp for. But yeah, this is the Sonora Ranch there. I mean, there's two different buildings. That's the view off the back porch. Just standing on the back porch, we could see red stag. There was a group of axis steer that had just left the feeder, and there was a buck pushing a big buck pushing like three or four does around. There's fallow, black buck, red stag, odd axis deer. Man, it was so cool. The weather was great, and we pull in there in the middle of the day, and just from the middle of the day, looking at the lodging and stuff, we could see animals right away. Not a lot, but Mike gave us a tour, and then after that, we kind of got our stuff ready and headed out. But talk about a great thing, February weather coming from Alaska, where I was coming from. It was,
Yeah, you're
man,
throwing.
it was like 10 degrees, and we got 8 inches of snow or something, I think, in the 4 or 5 days I was in Texas. And down there it was 60 in the morning, maybe 50, mid 50s, and got up to like 74 in the day, or 75. I mean, you could hunt in a hoodie and super comfortable. We actually got rain one day while I was there, which
Yeah.
was kind of unusual and amazing. Although it was the day I ended up harvesting an auxiliary animal, but uh, it rained like cats and dogs for, I don't know, an hour, and water was running all over the place. By 3 hours later, things were dry enough you could drive around it. It cleared off, and animals just started moving everywhere. So that one picture Corey just showed there of all those animals out, that was right after the rain. It had rained 2 hours earlier and just been like a total storm. And then feeders went off, and animals, yeah, yeah, you can see how clear the sky is there.
Yeah.
We had a big storm just 2 hours earlier, and then it blew out of there, got just a little bit closer to evening, and feeders went off, and animals just came out of the woodwork. It's really hard to describe. That country looks kind of, it's brushy but open enough that you can glass and you can see really well. You can see pretty well, but the number of animals that are there compared to the number of animals like you see driving around is just hard to describe, because there's so many animals there and so many different species.
With all that brush, I mean, it's real easy for them to get tucked in behind something, and you don't really realize how many animals are there until an event happens. I had the same thing in Hawaii. Yeah, I knew we had a good group of sheep and some good rams out in front of us in this one area until I shot my ram and the whole world erupted with animals. We had no clue there were so many there.
Yeah. Yeah, this country is really conducive to that. I mean, they live there, so obviously they've got it figured out. But yeah, they just tuck in to those mesquite bushes and just little cracks and crevices everywhere. But you think there's, three animals laying there, and then, like you said, something happens, and 23 of them get up instead of three. It's
Yeah.
pretty.
So for the
What's
springtime,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, what's the plan? I mean, I'm really excited for you to have this trip set up. What's sort of the itinerary and the breakdown on the plan?
Well, so the initial thought was we really wanted something for this time of year when, it's really an off season, quote unquote. I mean, there's some spring bear stuff happening, but for guys that aren't into spring bear hunts or wanting to travel west, here we have this option in Texas to get out and go after an array of animals on this specific ranch where we're actually going to be hosted. I mean, it's 1,000 acres, and we'll be able to take all dad, the oryx, axis, black buck. I think you said you hit there's some rams on there as well, if I remember right from what you said, which that's new.
There's a few rams and a super. It's one of their less populated animals, but they have a super crop of really nice fallow bucks too.
Yeah, so the photos you sent, that they're impressive. They have a looks like a great herd of bucks for on the fallow
And
side.
yeah, and I don't know, the axis will for sure be hard horned. I don't know if the fallow will still have their horns. It'll be close,
Think
Mike said,
they're
but
gonna shed out.
it's possible. But
Yeah.
And
There
when
could
is
be
your
yeah,
hosted
yeah,
it would be an
trip?
option. What's that?
When is your hosted trip? It's in May, right?
Yeah, May 5th or 6th through the 12th or 13th, somewhere in there. That kind of the second week of May. So the animals you saw a ton of fallow, and I'm talking about some great fallow from
yeah.
the photos you showed me. And I hope some of them are still hardhorn. That time of year, the likelihood is a lot of them will have dropped. But the axis, you saw a lot of axis, like young growth stage and velvet. I mean, there was one that was already, I mean, that joker was probably pushing 30 inches in velvet now, and he's still got some time to grow.
Yeah, I had sat at one stand and was trying to target one of those fallow, but I was also trying to shoot an axis doe. They have just an abundance of axis does there, and so I think that's an option on your hunt. Is he's going to encourage everybody to take, which of course that axis meat is like next level good. My wife made like beef Wellingtons last night, by the way, that are, wrapped in the pastry with mushrooms and cheese inside, and then like a gravy over the top. And only we used Axis backstrap from my recent trip down there. Holy cow,
I bet
super
that was
good. But
amazing.
anyway, I sat at this feeder. I sat at this one stand location. It was a ladder stand. I was archery hunting, and Mike thought there'd be some Axis does to come in there. And first thing that came in was some fallows. But then about 20 minutes after the feed had been there and these fallow had settled in, all of a sudden some axis started coming. 18 axis bucks came from
Yeah.
about six different directions. There was one real good one, as you said. I showed you that picture. There was one real good one in there, but all the rest of them were in various stages, from just little velvet nubs to
Yeah.
to
They were coming
bigger
out.
frames that you could tell that's a mature deer.
It's gonna
That's
be a
going to
good
be
buck.
good. But of course, I was trying to shoot a doe, and here I have 18 bucks come in. And it wasn't a group of them. They were just four come from over here and three come from over here, and here comes two big ones. And I just thought, man, if I was here 3 months from now, which will be
Yeah,
about May, I
it
was like,
is.
all these guys would be grown up and in Hardhorn. I wouldn't know what to do because there
Yeah, I
was a
think there'll
ton of
be some slammers come May. They're
I
gonna
bet you
yeah.
be
would have figured
I
it
hope
out,
some of the
Gary.
fallow are still there. What's that?
I bet Gary would have figured out what to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I probably would have got it. Yeah, got it figured out. But point was, I mean, I was just at one spot, and we had traveled around the ranch at that point, dropped one of the other hunters off who shot a really nice black buck. But the area where we saw him, we put him there because he was targeting a black buck, but there was a bunch of axis deer there that came into his.
Yeah,
I think the axis are probably one of the best, certainly most abundant animals on the ranch.
right.
But we saw a really nice group of aoudad too that had a couple big rams in it that I was excited. Of course, I was down there aoudad hunting on a neighboring ranch, which if a guy wants to focus on aoudad, that's also an option
Yeah,
to hunt the ranch there by Sonora, but also he's got another property an hour and a half away that's really good. So
and that's what I'm
so that's
telling
kind of
people. I think, because there's another one that's closer than that even for a number of other exotics. I mean, I think there's 20 or 25 different species that, will be able to be hunted maybe 45 minutes away. So we're not just limiting it to the all dad axis, and black buck on this ranch and maybe some of the rams, but we'll have opportunities to move to an adjacent, nearby ranch if needed. Somebody wants to go, after you name it, a nilgai, any number of different antelope that somebody would want to go after, we can do that. It's just nice to have a place that has lodging as nice as what this ranch has, be able to hunt there on site and kind of, on my end for hosting it, be able to cater to people and their needs, from the ranch. With this one, I think traditionally the hunts we offer there are 3 days, 3 nights. That's the normal hunt. So for this, we increased it. We're going to do 4 days, 5 nights, meals and lodging. We're throwing in the alcohol, we're throwing in the hunting license. So pretty much all somebody needs to do is get to the ranch. And from there, I mean, we're hunting 4 days and these are full days. We're
So
going
where are
to
they flying into and how far is it to drive to the ranch?
number of options. So San Antonio would be the closest, roughly 2.5 hours. Where'd you fly into, Gary?
I flew into San Antonio. There was 4 of us on the trip that I just got back from, in February. But one of the guys actually lived in San Antonio, so it was very convenient. I flew in there and he picked me up. Another guy flew into San Antonio. We picked him up. And then the fourth guy actually drove down from, I think, lived up in the Dakotas and just drove straight to the ranch. But San Antonio was where we came in.
Yeah, San Antonio would be the closest, 2.5. Austin's an option, roughly 3, so not much further. So if you can, one of those two, the two best bets for international airports, and it's a fairly simple drive over. I'm actually from where I live. I get a nonstop easy flight to Dallas, so I'm going to hit DFW. It's a 4.5 hour drive though. So somebody, again, not crazy. It just depends on what somebody wants to, if they want easier close access, that San Antonio's it. If they don't care and they want the cheapest flight and it happens to be Dallas, you're 4.5 hours out. And
That's
for
not
a
so
group,
bad.
I mean, I'll throw this out there for people. If there's a group, we could, because the opportunity is there for a whole group to say, hey, we want this. We want to do it for our group. Okay, great. Well, let's talk about, I can come pick you up at the airport at that. I can't make multiple trips 3 hours away to pick one, a 2-person group up and a 3-person. I can do it, but I can do it for a big group. And we can talk about that if that's of interest to somebody.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this trip would be so uniquely suited for if there was a group of 5 or 6 people, that 4 to 6 people that wanted to have the exclusive camp, wanted to have the ability to sort of mix and mingle stands and hunt with each other, and spot for each other. And I don't think it's all stand hunting. I think you do have a little ability to spot and stalk around and get down on your feet, which would be really fun on this ranch. I think the idea of having a group of people that are all hunting together would increase the opportunities for spot and stalk, because everybody would know everybody, and so you wouldn't be bumping into hunters that you don't know. But man, this would be perfect for a group. You'd have all the guys would stay in one lodge. I think the main housing unit has sleep 7. And so the guides and you and the outfitter would be in the other building there. But what a fun trip for 5 or 6 guys. You'd have time for, socializing or meetings, business meetings, whatever you wanted to do. Not that you want to tie up your hunting with a bunch of business, but I think this there'd be time for this. But man, there'd be some great campfire stories. We did that, sat around the campfire a couple of nights
Nice.
outside. It was warm enough and nice. But this is really a good group opportunity for sure.
How was the food?
I was just gonna ask that.
The food was good. We had, man, Mike and the guy that was the main camp helper every morning. Sort of the way they do it is you get up early, of course, and you're going to head out on stand, before it gets lighter, to get that early morning stuff. So you kind of have a continental coffee and donuts or fruit or, yogurt, something, cereal bars, just quick early. But then you go out and hunt until 9:30, 10, a mid-morning. But then when you get back, you have a good sit-down breakfast. And we had uh, bison breakfast burritos and big Mexican egg scrambles, and sausage. Mike does all his own processing, so he's constantly got just all kinds of different game, and he had like 4 different kinds of sausages that he had made at his place. And so you had a really good meal then. And then we had a little bit of time during the day. We shot our bows a couple of days. Guys did go out. We did go out and do a little spot and stalk hunting or a little still hunting, just looking around. It was generally hot. One of the guys exercised. A couple of us took naps, did emails. But then mid-afternoon, we had like a light lunch, sandwiches,
Mhm.
chips, drinks, whatever you wanted, snacky kind of food, and then got out on the stands, and then you hunt your evening hunt. But then when we got in, they had again another great meal. We had, steaks and potatoes and various different side dishes. We had really good like fajita taco mix one night that I think was some kind of exotic, if I recall. I'm pretty sure it was oryx. The second night we were there, the first night we were there, one of the guys shot an aoudad, and so we Mike grilled a whole loin, a whole backstrap. Um, and so we had, fresh aoudad steaks. It was super super good. Everything, homemade food. Um, and it was not, since it's not that physically of a demanding of a hunt, and you're not fighting cold weather, you run the risk of gaining some weight on the hunt, which is, that's usually not the case. But this is, you're definitely not going to starve. His wife had cooked a couple pans of brownies and some
Man,
other yeah, and some other dessert type stuff, so I had to really fight to stay away from that. None of those made it through the trip off with
yeah,
our group. We cleaned those all up, but oh, super good food in the middle of, because there was a town not very far from us. We were pretty close to Del Rio, Texas, a little south of Sonora, where this hunt's gonna be. He had to get into town one of the days to pick up some supplies for some stuff. He made sure we had, if anybody had any special requests or anything he needed, he grabbed a few extra supplies, fresh fruit, some other stuff. So, and I expect the same for your hunt. It'll be, you know, full appropriated kitchen with good eats for sure.
yeah.
So that was really nice.
And you mentioned changing gears a smidge, bow hunting. So you're a bow hunter. So for folks, I mean, this this ranch provides an opportunity for some great bow hunting as well as rifles. It's kind of, shooter's choice. You want to hunt with a bow, bring it. You want to hunt with a rifle, that's fine. I think the shots are generally going to be 150. Is that a good range from what you experience for rifle shots?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. My group had three, there was four of us, and we had three bow hunters and one rifle hunter.
Yeah.
And he was able to mix and match our stands totally appropriate, that fit both. I think that ranch has at least a dozen ladder type or open tripod, with just a seat on the tripod type stands that are tucked into some bigger oaks and trees. And then it also has a whole series of, your traditional South Texas box blind rifle blinds. And so pretty much every one of the areas, they have the ranch cordoned off into different sort of units. You couldn't tell that if you, as a hunter or as somebody visiting there, but in for the owner and the outfitter, they know, oh, this valley is this unit and this valley is this unit. And then each one of those units has food, water, stand setups. And
Hmm.
so he can put a guy there, and you're going to hunt that valley, or you're going to be able to glass these areas, and you can't see any of the other stand setups, or you're not going to bump into other guys if you're
Yeah, that's
if you're
nice.
hunting that area. So it's pretty amazingly well spread out. I was surprised. The country where we were hunting, there was a little bit of topography, a few hills and valleys, and a big creek system ran through it. But we got over to Sonora, and there was hills. I mean, it'd be some hiking if you were out glassing. There were some big ridges you could get up and glass a lot
Really?
of country. So there was really quite a bit of topography that also then allowed him to break up. You could hunt this area, and then over the ridge, that's a
You're looking at
whole nother
different.
set of animals, whole different area.
I want to jump in and clarify that when these guys are talking about Sonora, they're not talking about Mexico. They're talking about.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
I
in
should have
Texas.
mentioned that. We were actually, yeah, Sonora, Mexico, way south of us. Sonora, Texas, we were, a solid hour and a half north of the border. The ranch that I hunted out at on down by Del Rio was actually much closer to Mexico, old Mexico, than this. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. This is the town of Sonora, Mexico. And I say that it's not in Sonora, Mexico. That's really the closest town, but it's pretty rural, really rural. Actually, you go down past a couple of ranches. The other thing that I thought was kind of unique about that ranch is, despite the fact that it has all these exotics in it, and it sounds like a Texas high fence ranch hunt, it's not. The ranch is actually a mix, or not a mix, but it's split. Part of it has a high fence around it, not because of this landowner wanting to fence it, but because of the neighbors, there's a couple neighbors that are high fence, but the whole southern portion of the ranch, which is a big stretch, is low fence.
Wow.
It's just that they have such good cover, such limited pressure, such a good watering system and drinkers, and they feed enough
Food.
that these animals get in there and they just stay. But I mean, technically, they have a whitetail buck show up. They originally didn't have much for red stag, and all of a sudden, some stag moved in, and then they have been running with that, and so now they've got a really good herd of red stag. And
Yeah,
a
he
lot
sent
of those, a
a
lot
picture.
of those lot of those animals, or many of the animals they have, just naturally come there. Now, over the years, their breeding program, and then they've increased the number of animals they have. But so if a guy shoots something, or somebody, if that means anything to anybody, the ranch is so big, unless you drive around and look for the fence, or when you're going through the gate, you see a fence. It doesn't feel at all. It's not canned. I mean, it doesn't feel that way at all.
Well, it literally isn't because it's low fence.
Yeah.
Right. Right. It's low fence for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a big enough property, and with all those hills and all that topography, most of the places you're sitting, you have to glass way off in the distance to even see a next place, or tell that there's anything out there.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. I couldn't believe the volume of animals. And he said, "Oh yeah, they can all leave if they want. They can get out of here. They can come and go. They're mixed with the neighbors." Pretty crazy, pretty crazy, but also very, very cool because it gives that element of, you honestly never know what could show up on the place.
That's cool. Yeah, the
Are there any
stag, he
weird
sent
things,
photos of
weird
stag, yeah.
African stuff? I know there's oryx, but are there zebras or anything like that?
I don't think there's anything on this ranch that is the African exotics, besides the oryx and the black buck. As Charlie mentioned, he's got that other place that is a high fence place just down the road, that has the true, as Mike would say, addicts to zebra, A to Z, list of exotics. And if there's a particular animal that a guy wanted, I'm sure he can source it, and I'm sure it could be, arrangements could be made to probably add it on. But this one had a pretty selective. The owner of this property has some ideas about what he likes and what he doesn't like. And so they kind of limit what they're willing to put on the property and try to manage on the property. And that's the red stag, the axis, whitetails, and turkeys, which is what the owner really, really likes. But black buck, aoudad,
Fallow.
fallow.
Yeah, I mean, in the fall, it's really gonna open up, and we don't have to hit on that one too much now because 'cause we're really focusing on some, well, out of season opportunities. But yeah, it's gonna open up for the whitetail, the stag, and the fallow. Once they grow back for the fall hunts, it's a pretty slammer ranch.
That's awesome. So I'm assuming this is a day rate plus trophy fees type situation.
It is. There'll be the hunt fee. The hunt fee will include the 4 days, 5 nights, meals, lodging, alcohol. In this case, for this specific hunt in May that I'm hosting, it includes licenses as well. The alcohol and hunting license would not normally be covered, but it will for this. And then there'll be the trophy fee add-on which is typical Texas,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
So you'll have a trophy fee add-on depending on the animal. So, you go out, you don't harvest, you don't pay. I can't
That's
see.
a cool way to hunt. That's how you do it in Africa too. And that's kind of to have a list, a menu, and see, temptation is real in those situations.
Yeah, I've talked to a bunch of people about this hunt. It's getting a lot of interest, and one fella, he's like, "Man, I really don't want to do the math." I'm like, "Well, how about I make you a card? How about I give you a
Yeah.
card? You see this animal and you want to harvest this animal. This is it. Here you go."
This is it. Yep.
To do it. And it's not so. And one thing to clarify, it's not. This is just a one. It's a harvest, or excuse me, an axis buck. You take an axis buck, what you consider a trophy. If it is the world record axis, you pay no more than if it is your everyday 30, 31-inch trophy.
That's cool.
It's not by inches. There's not an increasing amount you pay on size. It is set price for an axis trophy buck.
Nice.
Yeah, same thing across the board. That's for all the animals. There isn't there's no length of horn on the oryx, or it's just for that animal, a trophy buck, you pay this much.
And what I like I saw the the pricing card on this, and it seemed like a lot of his hunts are a one animal hunt with the ability to add on trophies, but it'll be, 5,500 or 6,500 or 6,000 something, and that would include, as you said, your normal 3 days, 4 nights lodging, that particular trophy animal,
Mhm.
and your meals and guiding. But here, he backed that price way down. I mean, it's under $4,000. It's an additional day and night. It's like you said, all the stuff you would normally get because there is such a selection of animals. It sounds like you don't have to commit ahead of time. Oh, I'm going to go on an axis hunt with the option to shoot something else, or go on an oryx hunt and shoot something else. You can go and pay that just meals, lodging, guiding fee, and then try to look at some. Those were surprisingly neat animals. I took that picture the first night I sat. I had never seen one of those scimitar oryx. Holy cow, they're cool. In the picture, they kind of look brown, but in real life, that chest on them, especially on the bigger bulls, it's almost orangey. And holy cow, they got a bunch of trophy ones with big horns, and they were cool. I really wanted to bring one of those home, but I was so focused on, kind of committed to getting a good oddad that
Yeah.
I didn't want to take the time or screw up my screw up my oddad hunt, but I did eventually. Yeah, I had a great ram come in, and that was cool. He was beautiful, and I was glad I waited for that opportunity. But those oryx they're cool animals, really cool and really unique. And you know, you could I don't you couldn't certainly couldn't go to Africa and shoot one of them and or have this experience and be less money. No way. And man, the mount is pretty. We stopped at a place on the way leaving. On the way to the airport, we stopped at a little cafe place, and they had a wall pedestal mount of one of those oryx on there, so it got that really orange
Showed off the
chest.
chest.
And yeah, got the white back, but the orange chest, and then they had it turned so that the horns could, not go back and hit the wall. Obviously, created that pedestal was created so that you could hang it on the wall, but not have those horns hit it. And man, it was beautiful. I was like, oh, I probably should have shot one of those. But yeah, but pretty cool. But I like how he retooled the pricing on this, so you can go and you might have one animal or two animals in mind. I'm going to look for this, but I'm just telling you, your mind might get changed when
Right.
you're sitting in
Yeah.
the stand, depending on what comes in, because it's super cool as to what they have there. Super cool. You just never know. Couple of the other thing that really tempted me while I was there when I was trying to shoot that axis doe is I saw two different black bucks that a lot of them, and of course a lot of the females, but I also saw some juveniles, were just kind of that white and brown mix. But I saw two different mature bucks that were jet black with
Really?
the
They're
white
so
back or
pretty.
top. But they were just, you could tell they were big mature animals, because and Mike said that it's something in their hormones
Mhm.
and something to do with their breeding, and must be like their testosterone or whatever when those bucks get to that mature breeding age. And
And they're dominant. They're the dominant buck.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and dominant, it changed that slowly they get darker and darker and darker, and pretty soon they're just the whole bottom half is black, and they've got that white and black
Really
face that
stark
looks like a
contrast.
mask. Ooh, man, that is a pretty animal and pretty cool. And the horns are, for their small stature, you get a 24 to 28-inch set of horns on a black buck,
And they
and
spiral up.
holy,
Beautiful.
yeah, they spiral up. They're super cool. Yeah, he told me to look for one, two, get in that good third rotation, and then whatever they have after that third rotation. He said if they have 3 to 6 inches after that third rotation, you're looking at a trophy. And I saw two different ones that were fully three curls or three rotations around. I was like, oh, they better not come within bow range, or I'm gonna have a have a problem again. So it was just a neat experience. I had not spent any kind of time. I've been to Texas, a number of times, hogs and javelinas and just kind of other stuff, whitetails once, but I had not spent any kind of time where I where I could see this number of different animals, and have them be on the menu for what I was actually hunting. I'm not really, that's not my forte. I'm a Western big game, North American, Alaska kind of guy, and changed my mind. Ooh,
Yeah.
changed my
Yeah.
mind.
We yeah,
Like
when we were in
I've,
Denver
I've,
the other
al-
night,
I, yeah, I've already talked
I
to
could tell.
yeah, I've already talked to a couple of guys. One of the guys that was on my trip, him and I are going back. My son looked at the pictures and he's like, "You're not going again without me." And then I've got a couple other clients that
Those are some good
I was
fallow.
booking up. Yeah, yeah.
They
I
were
had a
some good
couple other
fallow.
clients. Had a couple other clients that I was booking other things for, and they're on the list for next fall because the off season thing. Yeah, the off season thing is really also appealing. When it's cold, February, March, April, May. What great months to not tie up your fall hunts, but be able to go and all these animals you're going to target in May, like they're all in season. Those axes are going to be, that's the fall for them or whatever. The black bucks,
Yeah,
so
they'll be
that's
coming in a rut. Yep.
so that's
Oh,
cool.
and then one thing to mention real quick is some of these ranches, if they're enrolled in that managed, I think it's the managed deer land program in Texas, you can hunt them through February. So whitetail would be
Yeah,
an option in February, January and February, which is still, predominantly outside of Arizona, the Southwest. You're not
yeah,
hunting whitetail too much in February anywhere else in the world.
Right.
So,
yeah.
it's an option
His
here on this ranch too. And you saw a bunch of them.
Right, both the ranch by Del Rio that I hunted, and then this ranch that was up north, the ranch that we're talking about. They're both enrolled in that program, and honestly, that is a great option if people are interested. Next year after Christmas, on both of those ranches, we're going to have an opportunity to let people get down there, and by that time of year, they can still hunt whitetails, as you said. I did have a number of them come and go, bucks, does, whatever. But at that time of year, he's sort of got a pretty good inventory of and a good idea of what there is for what it really is conducive for is a little bit of a cull hunt or a
Yeah.
management hunt.
Yep. Yep.
You can get a really good price on a squeeze one more deer hunt in for the season because usually by that time he knows the number of does he's got to take off a property. So great hunt to bring a kid along and get some doe harvest or shoot some extra animals. And then he also knows what he wants to take off for management bucks and can offer management buck hunt pricing that's really good. So you can go shoot an extra buck and a couple of does on a 3-day hunt in February when you thought the deer hunting was
It was
long done for
done.
the season.
It's not
Yeah,
though.
yeah. And the ranch has to have that designation and they have to have a certain population and work all that out with the game and fish to be able to do that. But he's had that for years on multiple properties. So that is a really good thing. And the guy should go in May and experience the exotic and these other animals. But while you're there,
Get the itch.
get that all ciphered out so you can come back for whitetail hunting for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, how many spots are you down to, Charlie, with on what
6.
you got?
We're at
Okay, so
6.
we're down to
So we're looking for 6 hunters, yeah. Yeah, I'll be there. More logistical support. So,
okay.
talking about Mike running up to town to get things that were needed. If anything was needed, that's gonna be sort of my role. I'll be making trips to and from for, whatever people need. If Mike needs me or can use me to run trophies to and from, said taxidermist or meat processing, I'm gonna, I'm there all hands in trying to facilitate making the experience great. And then hopefully 6 hunters is what we're aiming for.
That should be great. Speaking of the taxidermy and the animals and whatnot, besides the nice lodging, they've got a separate metal barn building that they can pull the buggies up that you run around the ranch in. They can pull right in. They got a walk-in cooler. You pull into this building, and then he's got processing tables, electric hoists. I mean, when you shoot your animal, it's going to be all taken care of. They're gonna either you're gonna jump in, Charlie, with him or the ranch assistant, and everything gets taken care of and processed right there. Not finished process, but
Yeah, not
cer-
full
yeah,
processing.
certainly gets
Quarter.
handled enough to get it quartered and or broken down in the walk-in cooler. Get your trophies caped. Get the heads in the cooler. And then he's got a phenomenal taxidermist. I left my animals down there. He's got a phenomenal taxidermist that works with almost exclusively with him and the various ranches he hunts. that's really proficient in mounting that Texas specific game down there. But he'll get the included. He'll run the stuff to the taxidermist if you're going to use his taxidermist. He's
Yeah.
also got a full processing meat processing place down there that that he can give you the price list on. But again, he'll take the meat to the processor, let them process it and ship it to you if that's what you want. He runs a summer camp for kids and has a big group of people come through his places in June and July. So he's always willing to take meat donations as
Yeah.
well because he uses those for his youth operation, which I think is a neat and unique
Cool.
thing. If
Yeah,
you're
it's
not,
cool setup.
yeah, if you're not going to take all your meat, but he has that processing end and trophy care end of the thing dialed in. Every one of his ranches has a processing setup, a walk-in cooler, taxidermist on standby, meat processor on standby. He's really efficient and dialed in that way as well. So that's cool. Well, I don't know that these 6 spots, given I know you just kind of opened this up not very long ago, and
Yeah. Right.
so I don't know how long they're going to stay, but it's a great opportunity. Like I said, I think it's perfect for a group of 5 or 6 people. Should just snap it up and do it as one
We'll see you
group
there.
and write it off on the books as a business trip. And in the middle of the day, while you're looking at each other's pictures and trail camera photos, have a business meeting and write it off and call it good. I think, but it'd be a good opportunity for that. That'd be cool. So.
I
Cool.
would certainly love to help out.
Well, if people want to know more or want to do something, but they just reach out. Probably you're the point man on this, so they reach
Be the
out to
point.
you and
Yeah,
reach
just
out
go
to
to the
you and
website, go to the
Yep.
contact us page, Outdoors International. Say you're wanting to go on Charlie's hosted Texas trip. I'll make
Simple
sure
as
to get
that.
it to the right person.
go to Texas, stack up some animals. And it's not limited to one animal per guy, right? It's whatever,
No.
there's the
Well, yeah,
option
whatever
to
they
take.
want. Yeah, and I mean, we added a day. They got 4 full days, 5 nights lodging, meals, lodging, license, alcohol, the field processing. It's all included.
I forgot to mention because we saw these guys. If a guy does tag that big axis buck or shoots that beautiful oryx and then is like, well, back home I'm going to get in trouble if I keep writing checks and shooting animals. Are you done hunt? There's other stuff to hunt, right? That's included. I know the ranch has a bunch of hogs that they're trying to get rid of, and so you can always
Hogs.
hog hunt. And those are thrown in. They got, because of the low fence nature, they've got coyotes, bobcat, predators. Predators are on the menu, right? Those
Yeah,
are
not the
still available.
bobcat, but
No
foxes
extra
would be.
charge.
Yeah, not the bobcat. There is a charge for bobcat. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but yeah, coyotes, foxes, hogs, and just to clarify, this is not a predator hunt or a hog hunt.
Right.
But for
Right.
guys that are there, you tag out on, whatever you tag out on. It is certainly keep hunting. I guarantee
Right.
you, the ranch owner, Mike, all the guys working there will be thrilled for you to remove those animals from their ranch.
Yeah. Yeah. He had told me that at one point, I think this has been quite a number of years ago, but at one point they had enough predators on the ranch that they kind of trained some of the guys that run the feeders and do the maintenance program, that they had a little bounty on them and taught them how to call predators, and almost had a competition where they were removing them. They've
Yeah.
got them manageable now, but like you said, they love to see coyotes and foxes shot, and then of course those hogs just breed
It's
quicker
meat.
than you can run them down. So even if you're done on day 1 or 2, you're gonna get to be in the stand every day and hunt and be watching animals and targeting something. Even if you don't spend more money than basically the basic package. I forgot about that. We hunted hogs on the ranch that we were out at hunting on as well, and it just one more thing that Texas brings. So
Yeah,
that's
value add
awesome.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
all included.
Cool.
And again, we added the extra day and 2 nights. So it's you get a little bit more than the normal hunt for, really the same price.
Same price. Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of animals. So yeah, I'd let we'll get it set up. And don't, if somebody, because that is one question I've had, some guys can't make the date work. Those dates are kind of preset for this hosted trip. We're trying to get 600s in. We can still run the 3-day, 3-night hunts anytime. We can still
They just
target
won't
the
be
same
hosted.
animals on the same ranch. You just won't get the extra day and 2 nights. Not that you need it. It's just a value add for the hosted trip where I'm going to be on site. But it's not, I mean, shit, Gary, I think you were only there you were only on this
I was only
specific
there
one.
on that ranch. I was only there hunting wise for one full hunting day.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
I could
ton.
have got it done. I could have got it done on an axis, on a fallow, shot an axis doe. Could it? Yeah. The other hunter that was there with me shot his black buck on the one day that we had, and could have got an axis as well. So yeah, 3 days is enough. And
Plenty.
between now and then, he's got, I know between today.
Yeah. Couple value adds. They'll reach out. Right on.
All right, guys.
Let's
Sounds
do it.
perfect. Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank y'all.